we want to be asking the question, okay, what does it say? What's it not saying? What's it trying to say? Because we can get a lot out of all of those things, right? So when it says seek Yahweh while he's to be found, it doesn't say he won't be always available to be found, but it certainly sounds like he might not be available for you to find him. It didn't say that, but it did, didn't it? Seek him while he is to be found already hints that there may be a time when he's not to be found. Now, that doesn't mean that Yahweh disappears. It's just that he may not make himself available to you, because he then gives us more information. I mean, he says, call upon him while he's near. Then it says, let the wrong forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, and let him return to Yahweh. So it's us. We move. Seek him, you got to know what you're seeking. See, a lot of people think they found him, but it wasn't him. I mean, I could be seeking this person and find somebody and go, well, that's that person, but it's not. Well, but I know Deirdre's a woman, so Michelle's a woman. I know Deirdre's about this height. Well, she's about that height. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there could be things that I say, okay, well, it kind of matches what I think I know about the person. So, you know, you were told what you thought, maybe in the way you read the book back then, the Lord, which you know is a translation from Yahweh. So you thought you knew what that was. And so you would seek after, but you were seeking after a wrong understanding of what and who he is. The description that you had of him was wrong. So how can you seek him if you don't know what you're seeking? Call upon him when? When he's near. When is he near? Well, let's see. James 4 says, draw near to Elohim and he shall draw near to you. That's James 4:8. That's when he's near. When you draw near to him. He says, so when he's near, call upon him. You guys cry out like crazy when he's far, because you've drawn away. And then you're all crying out. Well, how about drawing near and then crying out? Draw near to him. Call on him while he is near. Because when you act a certain way, he is far. Because what separates you from him? Sin, your choices, your decisions, your behaviors. Everything starts with a thought. Now, if you have that thought and you hold on to it long enough, or you have it repeated enough, it will eventually have an emotion attached to it. It could happen immediately. It could happen after repetitive thoughts, but those thoughts eventually get emotions attached to it. That's why it tells you to take a thought into captivity. What does captivity mean? It means that you own it. It's yours. You've taken a hold of it under your authority, right? If I take you into captivity, you're now under my authority. Then that leads eventually to action. The wrong forsake his ways. Ways, actions. Actually, the word ways kind of hints more at repetitive, habitual actions. And so action repeated over time becomes a habit. Habits and actions repeated over time lead to a result or a destiny. So he's talking to people, can we all understand? He's talking to people that are covenanted, who should know better. Because why would he say return unless you already started off there at some point? You had to have already been there. So then he wants you to return. I talk to a Christian every now and then, it's been a long time, who might say something like, well, you're not getting me to go back under the law. I say always the same thing. I say, you can't. They go, what do you mean? I said, you can't go back to something you never did. So what are you worried about? You can choose to submit yourself under the authority of the law. I said, you can't go back to something you never did. Well, it ain't getting me to go back under the law. I said, when did you ever do it? Actually, before I say you can, I first ask, well, have you ever done it? Well, no. Well, then you can't go back. Let the wrong forsake his way and the unrighteous man his thoughts. And now he's saying, because my thoughts are not your thoughts. So you have to forsake your thoughts. You have to forsake your ways. So what is that also referring to? Again, that prideful thing of, but I don't want to do that. And I don't like this. And I want to do that. And I don't like that. I don't care if he says not to do it. I'm going to do what that's your thoughts and your ways. You want to keep Sabbath the way you want to keep Sabbath. You want to keep whatever Torah command the way you do, and you don't want to keep other ones because you don't want to keep them. Now, you can change and align your thoughts so they're his thoughts, but his don't become yours okay, from like he changes into your thoughts. You have to change to his. His thoughts have to become now what you think. He's not going to align with you. Your ways have to match his ways. If you do, this good stuff happens. If you do not, this other stuff happens. So both of those are not coming back empty. Both of those are accomplishing a purpose that he sent it for. He sent it to either bear the good fruit or bring the curse to get your attention to eventually bear the good fruit. He's trying to make sure that you understand. My word goes forth from my mouth, because everyone wants to do the name and claim. Oh, it comes back. It doesn't come back empty. It doesn't mean only good things come out of that. He also said, if you do not do you read Deuteronomy 28? First 15 verses says, if you obey all these wonderful things. And he says, but if you do not obey, that's all still, when the curses come, that fulfills this verse. It doesn't return empty. It did what he said. The good or the bad. The blessing or the curse. Life or death. Be really curious about you. Lamentations 3:40. Let us search and examine our ways, not their ways and the other person, yours. So many verses talk about examining ourselves. Do you know how many verses tell you to examine other people? I don't know of any. Maybe there is. I just never looked for it, but I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know a single verse tells you to go examine other people's ways. But you guys need to focus on your growth, because you are responsible for you. In Philippians 2:12, it says, each one of us has to walk out our own, not anybody else's, salvation in fear and trembling. You have to walk out your own deal. I don't know how you bother to have any time to do that when you're so focused on everything that you shouldn't focus on. And you're distracted like crazy with all that stuff. How are you going to get anything done? Examine yourself, search yourself. I want us to not fall into a trap real quickly. Let me just make sure we're not going to fall into a trap. Because this is a trap that Christians use with Yeshua and say, well, he never said anything about the Sabbath, or he never said anything about whatever. Look, when someone said, well, what do I need to have eternal life? He only mentioned a few commands. I'm going to say that it's my guess that these few commands listed here, which is actually more than are even listed when Yeshua talks, were probably, I don't think I'm out on a limb here, the ones they were having a problem with. Now, to round it off, he says, if he walks in my laws. So that's all of them. But he pointed out the ones that at this moment, in Ezekiel's moment, were the biggest problems. So it didn't mean the other ones get ignored. He has given you information that you can examine yourself to see how you match up with it. This is all about us transforming into the above. If I take a block, this is something I guess they asked Michelangelo one time when he was like carving something, sculpting something out of a piece of granite, and said, how did you make a horse out of that? You know, he says, well, I just chip away everything that doesn't look like a horse. You got to chip away everything that doesn't look like Yeshua. But if you don't know what the thing's supposed to look like, clearly Michelangelo knew what a horse looked like. And he said, this is a block, and I got to chip away to make it look like a horse. Because it's in there. You know what? Yeshua's in there. But if you don't know what the goal looks like, because you don't know him, and you don't know yourself, so you don't know where you're short, or you're off, or you're doing something that doesn't line up, well, then you can't fix the problem.